Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Amy Rich at amyrich.net. I am giving you a 2-for-1 today where I am going to share 2 projects made with the new Touched My Heart host set. And I'm going to start with the complicated one, or more complicated one, and I will finish with the one that's a little bit easier. Before we get started, I'm going to share with you the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. And this punch works with strips of paper that are a scant 1/2 inch, a scant 3/4 inch, and a scant 1 inch. The reason I say scant is because it works easiest if it's just a little teensy bit less than a 1/2 inch so that it slides into the punch more easily. So there are 2 sides to the punch, and I'm going to show you what the first one does. So the first one kind of gives it a fancy edge on it. Let's flip this and use the other side. And you can see that one just squares off the edge a little bit, or squares off the corners. Now we'll go to our 3/4 inch strip so it fits right into the next channel, and put it all the way in and then push down. And you get something a little bit fancier. And then we'll do the other side so I can show you that side as well. And this is what it does on that side. And finally, the scant 1 inch strip we'll put in, slide it all the way in until it stops, and then punch, and you get something even fancier. Wow. And then the other side does something even a little fancy too over here. It gives a layered look here. So lots of fun with that punch. It can do a lot of different things depending on your different strip sizes. I'm going to take my 1 inch strip of vellum cardstock. It's cut 1x4, and I'm going to use the left side of the punch to punch off both ends and make it a fancy little tag. We're going to set that aside and take a 3.5 by 4 3/4 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock. Then we're going to take our TUXEDO black Memento ink, and the reason for that is it is a water-based ink, and that's what we need when we're using Stampin' Blends alcohol markers. So we're using the water-based ink with the alcohol markers so there's no smudging. You can hear my air conditioner kick on there. All right. Then we're going to take some other leaves from the set. These are both from the Touched My Heart stamp set. And we'll put some leaves down here. And we'll also put some leaves up here. And then we're going to take our inside, which you can see I rounded the corners. It's the same size. We're just going to dress that up a little bit too with some leaves. Now we'll take our Mossy Meadow Stampin' Blends, and we're going to start with the darker color, the dark Mossy Meadow blend. We're just going to highlight some, like the bottoms of those leaves. We'll do that on all of these leaves. We're going to do some highlighting with the dark color. Then we'll go back with the light Mossy Meadow blend. We'll just blend that color in so we've got some highlighting going on. And it's okay if we leave some white on those leaves. That's where the light is hitting them. Just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Thanks to Tammy Conan for that great tip. And the inside. Now we'll bring in the trio punch, and this is how we're going to round these corners. So we'll stick the corners in and round them just like that. So this punch does 3 different things, and we're just using the corner rounder for these purposes. All right, then we're going to take our Mossy Meadow cardstock, which I cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and then I scored it in half. We'll use our bone folder to really crease that. And then we are going to stick the front of the card into the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder that is found in the new catalog. And we're going to run that through our embossing machine. And voila, we get a little texture on the front of our card. So then we'll adhere our outside piece to the front of our card. And then we'll take the With Sympathy stamp and the Mossy Meadow ink. We'll ink that up and stamp that. And really this is just a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. And then what I did was fussy cut around that With Sympathy. This is kind of trendy right now. So now we're going to take our mini dimensionals. And I just want to take a peek at what I'm doing here. We're going to stick 3 mini dimensionals on the back here. And we're going to adhere that to our piece of vellum. And vellum is kind of forgiving. You can lift even dimensionals up off of there. And the reason I wanted to do those dimensionals is so that I could, or put this on first, is so that I could see now where I can put my adhesive without it showing. So now we put adhesive where that white is, so that when we put it onto our card, it's not, that adhesive is not going to show. Then we're going to take our wood elements. These are really pretty. They've got some details you can see in these pieces here. There's some laser cutting that is done in those. We're going to pop this leaf out. We've got this sheet of wood elements, and then we're going to go into this one, and we're going to use one of the smaller leaves. I've actually been using quite a few. And we're going to attach that with our multi-purpose liquid glue. So just a little bit of glue on the back goes a long way. And we're going to do the bigger one first. Oh my gosh. Lucky that dries clear. And we're going to stick that right under the Y of With Sympathy. And then we'll do the same on the back of the little guy. Being a little more careful this time. We'll stick that in over here. And I wanted to get a little bit of elegance with our outdoorsy feel. So I'm just going to grab a couple of rhinestones to put in the ends there. Finally, I'm just going to grab my Wink of Stella pen and just add some Wink of Stella. I maybe should have done that before I put this together, but you know, live and learn. Do as I say, not as I do. And so now we've got a little shine to it too. I don't know if you can see that, but, and finally we'll just stick this onto the inside of the card. And the first one is complete. Pretty. For our second one, I'm starting with a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 thick Whisper White cardstock. And for this, I'm going to have my scratch paper here as a place where I can stamp off. For this card, I'm going to borrow a background stamp from the Comfort and Hope stamp set. And we'll use Smoky Slate as our ink pad for this. I want to make sure I get that stamp on a little straighter. So we'll ink that up and then we're going to stamp that off. We want more of a subtle, quieter background. And these planks in this stamp line up pretty well, nesting in each other. So I'll do the best I can to do that. And then lastly, I'll move it over so that I can get that last one up there. I also used the Smoky Slate ink pad to stamp my heart from Touched My Heart on a 3x3 square of Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to attach that to a square of Just Jade cardstock that is cut 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. Then, using some Stampin' Dimensionals, I'll adhere that to the front of the card. So that there is an equal border on the two sides and the top. Leave a little extra down here. Then we'll grab For the Beautiful Ways You Touch My Heart stamp. Comes from that set. And then this time we're going to go with basic gray ink. It's a little bit darker so that it can go over the Smoky Slate background. Now it's just a matter of adding a few accessories. This is the Flower for Every Season Gems, and I'm going to put a couple of gems on here. I'm just going to put a dab of glue, and then using my fingers, because I do have some fingernails, so that helps. If I had my take your pick tool handy, I would grab that, and we're just going to stick one on, one on there. And then I'll take a Just Jade gem, say that 4 times fast. And that's going to go on there like that. So just a couple of gems to jazz it up a little bit. And finally, I'm going to grab this beautiful ribbon pack. These all come together, but I'm going to use the Just Jade gingham. And when I make my bows, I do it right on the spool so as not to waste a lot of ribbon. But I take my 2 bunny ears, cross one over the other, and loop it around. And then we'll mess with it until it looks the way we want it to. That's not too bad. Then we'll take a glue dot and just adhere that then to the bottom of our heart. And with our snips, we'll just trim off these ribbon ends. Don't want to cut the loop. And there we go. So I wanted to talk about this stamp set because during the month of June, we have an opportunity to get extra host benefits. And when you have a party order or an individual order of $250 or more, you will receive $50 or more for free. So $25 extra for your host benefits during the month of June. This stamp set would be a really fun way to use some of those host dollars, but of course you can choose anything from the catalog. So I hope you've enjoyed these projects today, and I hope that they inspire you and help you see that we've got some really great host sets available. So take care, and we'll see you again real soon.